Hey, how's it going? It's Man Smart here. Give me a couple seconds so I get in position. We can have a simplistic conversation. All right, here we go. All right, I want to thank you guys for coming through. One second while we get in place. All right, I want to thank you guys for coming through here. Hold on a second. Put my phone on do not disturb. Uh. There we go. And what's going on, everybody? What's going on? Phil Brad, Donald B, She We here, Senku, Ishigaki, Sexy Red TV, Roger Spice. Make sure you hit the like button upon coming in so that way we can have a conversation about this pretty important topic here. Hold on a second. All right, we're here. What's going on, Quiz of the Prince? All right, here we go. Just received an email from a guy I've been working with for a while. Think about 3 or 4 years by now. Man, you should have seen where this guy was 3 years ago. This guy's priority was all in the wrong direction. Supremely cared about what women thought. I mean, like women he never had access to. This dude was radicalized to the point to where if you didn't know this guy, you would think that this guy was a 40 plus to 50 something year old guy who had tons of baby mama issues and all this kind of other stuff. But he didn't have any of that. He was just radicalized by those problems of other people. He just didn't really have any experience himself. So rather than go out to get his own experience, he decided to stay around what he thought was masculinity and wasted a lot of time. Now, I got to this dude in his 20s. It's not like he stayed there until he was 30 plus, 40s, and off into the 50s. Because when people stay stuck in these stagnant situations, there's a lot of pride and ego that is actually attached to not progressing. It's a lot of pride and ego attached to that because it's a driving force. You're in the circumstance. So now you have to make excuses to justify you not moving from the circumstance. Then you have to look down upon everybody who moved from this circumstance and try to find something wrong with them. And now all of the time that you could have spent getting your stuff together, you're now using that time into justifying your own stagnation. All of that time you could have spent on gaining a skill, being more creative, being more productive, you now have spent that time justifying not taking any action, justifying not learning how things work, justifying why you're staying stuck in those circumstances, lionizing things that you shouldn't be lionizing, not understanding the overall average of the peer group that you're around. Like all of these things that kind of adds up together to be justify stagnation. So once I got this dude on the productivity thing, and separating from these actual people, things started to change for him immediately. All the time he used to spend hanging out with these individuals, staying in a minimum wage position that was far beneath what he was capable of doing, having these pre-baked complaints about how the system and how the world worked. You can easily get radicalized by those actual circumstances. You can easily get radicalized by that stuff. And this is why this space can easily be the most dangerous thing for a person who just now realizing things and just now trying to get their stuff together, just like him. But I stayed with them through the process because I knew all of the things that this guy was going to go through. But he didn't understand. He was just going in the opposite direction. What's going on, Cynical One? What's going on, Lil Rock? What's going on, Age Gap Traveler? What's going on? So you have to understand if you are on a bad path, you're going to have to run twice as hard in the opposite direction for two reasons. The first reason is you got to get away from the people that drug you down that path in the first place. Because it isn't just you you're trying to get away from. You're trying to get away from your friends, your surroundings, the people in the environment, the friends, everything that could possibly pull you back into that other direction. That's why you got to run twice as fast. Because if you're just not trying to get your stuff together and you want to quote unquote get some of this bad information and turn around and try it because now you're barely productive. So you think you can afford the losses of actually dealing with these things that nobody won with, you're still going to fall twice as hard. That's why you got to run twice as fast. So that way you're not engaging with the previous people from the previous environment. So this individual went and got his CDL. He had some medical issues that he had to clear up. Something that couldn't have been cleared up throughout, just simply eating right and having a proper diet. But like I said, if you're off in this previous direction that you was going in, you don't understand how simplistic solutions are very hard to practice if you have the old mind state at hand. The old mind state at hand is pretty much going to have you, it's going to go through the filter. Like the correct information is going to go through the filter that you used to have. And then it's going to be remixed and retried and it's going to be spit out as something else that is not even what you're supposed to be doing. Like this individual thought. I'm like, dude, listen, you got a CDL, you're on a good path. Only thing you have to do is clear up these actual issues. Oh, there's got to be a shortcut around. Like, there is no shortcut around it. You can do the things that the doctors say, and you can get this medical card, or you can just have this CDL for whatever reason and not be able to do anything with it. So eventually he followed the directions and he got working. Once he got working, he just disappeared, like most people do. Once they get connected to the productivity piece, once they have money to actually invest in themselves, because everything that you want to invest in comes up as an option the moment that you have money to do so. So you go from not having enough money because you're working a gang of hours to having enough money to engage in things. So now you still don't know how to vet these actual opportunities because most of the opportunities that you was around in the previous people that you were around, they were all frauds and scams and hustles. And since most of this stuff is ran on prison culture, which means you ain't supposed to quote unquote knock another dude's hustle regardless of how much damage it costs, regardless of how many people have failed for it. Because it's a protection bubble within itself. Like most of this stuff runs off prison culture, where hustles are respected, decent people are not needed, law of the jungle kind of prevails. It's kind of like the warlord environment. The kind of it's kind of like the silence speak louder than the might makes right particular situation. But he didn't know. Like the moment he started moving in that direction, having tangible means of actual productivity that doesn't require lying to people or doing something that is morally questionable, you immediately don't have anything in common with none of those people that you used to hang around. Immediately, you don't have anything in common with those people. Immediately. Like I said, once you start focusing on you, time speeds up for everybody else, time slows down for you. Why? You feel every day, you feel every week, you feel every month, you feel every pay period. Once you don't have to focus on all those things that you used to focus on and you can just 100% focus on you, you get the time back, time rebate. All the time you spent watching your back and waiting for eventual things to go wrong, you can now use that time and that money because you're not spending money trying to please all these individuals around you. Now you got enough money to invest in yourself. And I'm not even talking about gym memberships and I'm not talking about wasting money on a car for other people to be impressed in the parking lot. None of that. I'm talking about having enough money to like continue to skill up, to keep, to continue to put yourself in other situations. Like you don't have to live in the city where you was raised at because you quote unquote know everybody there. You could branch out, you could go to other places, you can see how things are. You got time enough to travel. Not necessarily overseas, but other cities. Because you find better people not at the starting point. You find better people on the way to better things. What's going on, David Dickaloo? Mm, I'll get to that later on. I'll get to that Gen Z 214 later on. I'll get to that later on. What's going on, David Dickaloo? What's going on, man? So, the person disappeared. But when he disappeared for the right reasons. He didn't disappear for the wrong reasons. Because some people disappear for the wrong reasons. They disappear for the wrong reasons because they turn around and they mess stuff up. And I mean, badly. So people, when they disappear for the wrong things and for the wrong reasons because they don't want to live up to knowing better and obviously have put themselves in a far worse position than when they first started. That happens a lot. That happens a whole lot. So now he got money to actually do things. So now he's asking me about different business ventures and what's the best way to go about this. I'm like, look, if it comes in questionable, you got to be able to walk away because that's another thing. Never been in a position being financially stable to where now you have enough time to think. You have enough time to think about these things and think these things through. You finally now are building your actual social circle where you can actually ask other people about these things rather than you trying to just go it all alone and by yourself. Other people could just simply tell you no, don't do things like this. It all matters where these things come from. I remember like during the mortgage crisis, how people over leveraged 3 and 4 homes. A bunch of people with these adjustable rate mortgages that had $600 payments for mortgages, and then all of a sudden the next year the payment's like 2,500 a month. They end up losing the house, all that kind of other stuff. I'm like, dude, listen, man, you can dodge all that kind of stuff. Because remember, as a dude who has his stuff together, the only thing you need is a place to stay and something to eat. That's it, and a place to work. That's all you need. You don't have to overcomplicate things. You don't have to do all these other things that other people are trying to do, trying to juggle all these things around. It's just literally not needed. I had to tell him, keep this stuff as simple as you can. Write down your actual goals on a 3x5 note card. Put it in your pocket. Make sure you look at it 2 or 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or you're on task. Because most of your distractions is going to take you away from your end goal. That's what these distractions are for. What's going on, Imam Perry? So now he comes into a situation where he has 40 or $50,000 in the bank. Sent me a picture of his sign in to his bank. He banked at Bank of America, and he had $50,000 in the bank. And I'm like, man, it's pretty good, man. 50,000 in the bank, that's pretty good, man. So what were you doing? He was like, man, look, man. The only thing I did, I just stayed doing what I was doing, man. Like, bro, I could have been here years ago. I'm like, that's the goal. You could have been here years ago. Yes, you could have been here years ago. Yeah, I could have been here years ago myself. But at the end of the day, this is all your work. And you're not to throw this away so that way other people can be comfortable with you. Because you're not part of their team. What's going on, Ibmore Red Pill 81? You're not truly part of their team. You're part of their team when you need something. Well, actually, when they need something out of you, you're part of their team. When you need something out of them, you're not part of their team. So if you just treated these people like individuals rather than a group of people that you should respect, you would have overall better outcomes with these people who you quote unquote think are on your team. This is why I don't like the collective speak of our women, our community, all this kind of other stuff. No, your first community is your actual household. And I'm sorry, you're going to be held responsible for what you produce within that household. What's going on, Dion Davis? What's going on, Company XO? Because see, nobody teaches you about the individual. They only want you thinking about group speak because your actual gains is going to feed the entire group. What you produce as an individual really don't matter to most of these people unless they're the sole beneficiary of it. Because let's say that you spent a whole bunch of time in that bad situation where you never get to the top of the social strata among those people that you shouldn't be trusting in the first place. And you're always giving, giving, giving. You're never receiving, receiving, receiving. So now you're in a situation to where you're conditioned to give more than you actually receive back as a condition of being part of a group. You are to be fleeced for everything that you're actually giving out. So I'm like, look, with that 50,000 in the bank, you got to act like that $50,000 is not even there. Think about that $50,000 as an actual tool that you're going to use, that you're going to invest in to actually turn that $50,000 to $150,000. And he actually did do that. But I need to make sure that he was ready to be even more disciplined with the actual money that you get because you got to be even more disciplined with money. You're going to look at a whole bunch of different opportunities. 99% of those opportunities you're going to have to turn down, regardless of how much money that you make from them. But at the end of the day, you still got to be able to focus and specialize. That's why me, transportation, everything about transportation, real estate, connected to the places where I drive by and places where I actually go visit, places where I do have a presence. All that stuff works together. And nothing else clearly outside of that, I'm not even interested in. Because those things are jobs enough within itself that they have so many overlapping levels and pieces to it. There's clearly no reason not to go out and learn 50 different career fields. There's really no need to do that. That's what specializing actually gives you. It gives you more flexibility. You got to be a hell of a lot more competent at very few things and not be so generalized in a whole bunch of other things. Because a lot of people, they're trying to chase that dollar. So they know how to do 50, 11 different things. But when they ask them what they actually specialize in, they only specialize in things that they can be barely productive at and get money at, where you could just use that actual focus and specialize on things. So I had to take them through that process. Because, people get a big head and they start investing in things and not really trying to vet these actual things. And when you come from that previous environment, you're putting all the trust into the person who's going to screw you over to vet the things that you're actually getting into. Again, trusting the wrong people the wrong way. Again, when things go wrong, we're going to court to get my money back. That's how that works. I'm not taking losses. I ain't taking no losses, none whatsoever. Who knows how many times you've done this to other people, and it's time to get this paper trail going. Got that right. It's always something that's outside the usual processes that people want you to invest in. And you're always going to be inundated with these type of things from these shiftless individuals who are just 1 degree of separation away and still end up in your face no matter what the actual circumstance is. What's going on, Ellen? Again, still running in the opposite direction of just sit there and take it. Because a lot of people are comfortable with the sit there and take it and complain about the system. A lot of people are comfortable with that. Sit there, take it, complain about it, take no action. Sit there, take it, complain about it, take no action. A lot of people are on that roller coaster. A lot of people are on that hamster wheel because they prided themselves into outsourcing to someone else to fix the situation for them because they're too proud to go out there and put in the work themselves. What's going on, Johnny Blaze? So he finally was able to focus on what he wanted to focus on. He decided to get him a work truck and do tires on the weekend when he wasn't driving during the week. So I'm like, look, this is the direction that you want to go in. This is the equipment that you get. This equipment costs less than $500 outside of maybe the air tank. You need to make sure that you get these accounts, get the Michelin accounts, get the Firestone accounts, get all these type of accounts, all this type of other stuff. Make sure that you have a place 24 hours where you can go get these tires after hours because that after hours money is way better than the actual 8 to 5 money. I'm like, man, well, how do you know all this? It's connected to the industry that I'm in. I know how all this stuff works. Well, why don't you have that? I don't need to do that. I'm not in that business, but I know how it works. But if you're going to get into this business, this is how you get into this business. And for him, again, JR, thanks for the 499 super chat. And again, since he's so apprehensive, he didn't understand how tangible information given to him to make a specific decision that benefited him, how easy it was dealing with confident people. And dealing with confident people, and I didn't want anything out of this. There was no, I'm going to lead you along for this level, then I'm going to drop you off where you actually need my help in a codependent state. Like, no, this is the business that you're going to get in. This is how you get into the business appropriately. So that way you don't need my help. Turns out doing tires on the actual weekend was something that was very good for him to the point to where he wanted weekends off. Strong man still. Not so that way he can go to clubs. His club was waiting for things to go down so that way he can show up with these tires. And it wasn't just for semi trucks. I'm like, dude, anybody can really get into the semi truck market, but that's not the market that you want to be in. You want to be in the market with the Geicos, the Progressives, all that kind of stuff. Yep. So I'm like, why you do that? It's more important to be able to give quick service very fast. Told him to go get a jump pack. These ain't for $300. These right here can jump semis and maybe 6 or 7 cars. You could charge these things up. You could be there in and out. I'm like, most people do Uber, drop people off one place to another. You can literally do the same thing. Go around changing tires for these actual rental cars and all this kind of stuff, making buku money. But then again, he had to understand that, oh man, I got all this money coming in. I'm like, hey man, having the revenue come in is a good thing. You don't necessarily need to spend it on anything. You know how you be around these shiftless financial people who actually see a whole bunch of money there that you have is somehow a disservice to capitalism or a way they can capitalize off of it. So they try to put you in all these investment vehicles that do nothing but actually give them high commission rates on the things that they're quote unquote putting you in, when you can actually build a business a hell of a lot faster than you can invest in these actual stagnant products. Again, learning the process and knowing how things work is a hell of a lot more important than trying to alpha your way through it. Several different things. Makes absolutely no sense. There are people who easily make $2,000 a day just doing tires, and that's it. So then again, at this point, things are going extremely good for him. Extremely good for him. Then he was just telling me about this loneliness that he felt. I'm like, so what are you talking about? Oh, the companion and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, so what kind of person do you want to be with? Blah blah blah. I was like, okay. Do you know that that's not something that is produced within this environment, correct? But if you're trying to force something within an environment that doesn't work, then you're the problem, not them. They're waiting on the best opportunity to come through for them. They're waiting on you to trust them and you to outsource all the acting right on them. Not you putting yourself in a better position. You've outsourced that to them. I'm like, look, you have enough money. You could take some time off. You build a decent social circle. You should have plenty of opportunities within those social circles. You don't go outside the social circle trying to get somebody who you're quote unquote more relatable with from the previous environment. That's something that's extremely bad. I'm like, look, one thing you need to embrace, not dodge. You need to embrace this. If people are calling you any of these three things, then you're doing something right. If somebody's calling you bougie because you simply want things to operate efficiently and effectively and you don't want to take any downfall, you're doing something right. And most likely when people are using these terms, you need to stay away from these personnel. Number two, they're trying to claim that you boule or something like that. There's nothing boule about things working. There's nothing boule about not being taken advantage of by people. There's nothing boule about that. That's something that's normal and a rational expectation. But see, you spend so much time in these situations to where disorder and parasitic behavior become normal operating procedures. Yes, indeed. You know what I'm talking about. Thanks for that 199, David Deacon Little. And the third thing that they say that I have never met or even interacted with these people. Oh, okay. He's right here, one of these Jack and Jill type people. Like, dude, listen, bougie, boule, Jack and Jill has nothing to do with the expectation of things working appropriately. It's almost like they say these things because those people of those three groups, they will not let people affect them in a way that they normally affect other people because they know that people who have power are not going to let uncultured personnel just walk in here and just start taking things away from them of value without them providing value at all. Because most people of the previous things that I named, you got to bring something to them in order to be a part of their group. And since most of these people are normal takers and not givers, they don't have anything to give coming through the door. This is why they use bougie, boule, or Jack and Jill. So that way you can accept dysfunctional behavior and the guaranteed possibility of nothing ever working out. And then when things don't work out, they want you to take the instant fall for it and not complain about it to anybody else. I had to let them know how that stuff works. Like, look, man, you're doing well. If the only thing that you're trying to complain about is companionship, yeah, man, you got to get out more. You already got the social circle. You can't be doing this very well, making this type of money, and you can't be trying to go to these hood spots, jumping shop and like a BMW or a vet or any of that, trying to take that stuff around those people, and then trying to choose somebody from that environment, dude, you crazy. If you're making this type of money, you should have this type of network. That's what the money's for, the network. Once you build a network of people who also ain't got things to lose, people who also don't want to waste time, yeah, that's when things get good. That's what the social circle is about. So all the time that you spend watching your back, you cannot spend your time enjoying yourself. What's going on, troopers? I know it. But a lot of people have this problem of thinking that masculinity starts when it can survive the problems of women that they should not even be around. Because for some reason, a lot of people long and yearn for this type of experience. For some reason, I don't understand it. I've never understood it. But at the end of the day, most men become susceptible to thinking that they have to bring all these people with them when that's clearly not the case. They don't even bring them with you. When these people go and they get their games and they enjoy them all by themselves, they don't go around trying to bring you around their actual games. These people are selfish as shit. They do whatever they want to, and they celebrate right in front of your face and expect you not to say nothing. They want to spend all of their time, and then they want to spend all of your time too. Again, even while productive, you're still running in the opposite direction because this is a lifelong thing to build an entire culture where these people don't exist. It's an ongoing process. Ongoing. It is a lifelong process of making sure these people are not relevant, of making sure that these people don't matter, of making sure that their thoughts and words don't have anything to do with you, and for God's sakes, to make sure that your productivity piece is not based on anything that they have to easily destroy from you. You should easily be able to move and maneuver around these individuals. Not that you need to be in front of their face all the time. You got to be able to just easily be able to move very easily. Yeah, because you're like hyper invested and waiting for the shoe to drop when things are going perfectly well. Because the actual socialization piece of most of these individuals within this environment It's for you to be socialized to where you're not used to things going well. You're socialized into things not working properly. You're socialized into waiting for the next shoe to drop. You're socialized into wasting a whole bunch of time because you don't specifically know how a simple process works. That's the socialization piece. That's what I'm saying. Hold on a second. Now you got the time to think. What's going on, man? So now this individual who's making a couple $100,000 a year, he's more hyper worried about people coming to take his stuff than he is about enjoying life. I'm like, dude, listen, you have to live in self imposed exile from these individuals. You have to institute it. This is, you have to institute it. You have to live every day with the simple fact that I'm not going to help these people with anything. I'm going to do what I have to do. Those people will do what they have to do to survive, and you won. But that's the problem. You're still running in the opposite direction. You're still following simple and basic, simplistic processes to get results. In this other previous life that you used to live around all these other people who are not going anywhere, they will look at a specific process that is very easy to follow, and they'll turn around and do the opposite of what the process is, and then they blame the process for existing. They blame the correct answers for existing. Now he lives in Texas though. He lives in Texas. I think Dallas Fort Worth area right now. Live in Dallas Fort Worth area. But then again, the time you ain't spending watching your back around these individuals who cannot possibly produce can be spent somewhere else. All the stuff that you ever wanted to learn, you finally have time to actually learn it. Now, most of your actual being is actually based on learning how things work. In the previous environment, everything is based on dodging the particular process. Knowing what's actually going on and dodging a particular process rather than just simply investing in yourself, going to a conference and building those business connections. Or you could be up here on all night live streams trying to complain about the next thing that just hit the news wire. It's the same time. It's the same time. Same time that he was spending wasting with certain individuals, not even within the space, but real life. All that time he got back the moment he got his stuff together. The same thing can happen to you, man. Like, bro, like when you ain't gotta worry about watching your back around these type of individuals, when you already set foot and said that, dude, no matter what it is, I'm not gonna do business with these people. They can talk all this togetherness and we need to come together and all this kind of stuff all they want to. The only person you need to get together with is you, and find somebody else to do business with once you're there. It's not your responsibility to get any community together. You're not a nonprofit organization with a mission statement. These people who believe these fanciful things can easily create a nonprofit. But creating a nonprofit means that you have to follow a specific process and you got to answer to people. But you have to realize that most of these people don't want to answer to people. They don't want to follow a specific process and they don't want to be held responsible for the things that they think and say. This is why I say it should be very easy to pass these individuals up. It should be very easy to pass these individuals up. You should be worried about where you're spending your future time that you use watching your back for eventual betrayal. That's what you need to be focused on and worried about. I remember watching a documentary about Magic Johnson about how he was talking about, or mostly how everybody talked about back then, before he actually came to the NBA, how he thought about all the time about what he was going to do once he got the money. So once he got the quote unquote money, everything just fell into place. Why? He had been thinking about it, planning around it, dreaming for so long. Once he got the money, it was like boom, boom, boom. You got to be the same way. You have to destroy this culture. You have to do your job to destroy this culture that they built based on failure. You have to do your part to destroy it. And the first thing you have to do is maximum participation in society. I'm talking about voting, learning how things work, having a business, learning about the process, and actually participating. But see, that's the thing. When you ask these so-called leaders around here about those type of things, they have nothing to say. They have nothing to say. That's why the actual argument has to be closely based on what women think. The wrong type of women, by the way. Do they actually care what conservative women think? Do they actually care about women who actually want a family think? They don't even care about those women. They're not even trying to look for them. They don't even do content to even attract those type of people. They do the type of content that attract the wrong type of people to the circumstance. And somehow they think they're just going to survive within that cocoon, and somehow they're going to turn around and just pick something that is worthwhile outside of that while being on that type of nonsense. Yep. And most of the money went to the contractors. They didn't go toward the troops. You know how many military pay raises got voted down, but we still funding pieces of equipment that haven't been serviceable in 30 or 40 years? But the whole point of this exercise is to make sure that men don't see anything productive or produce anything. That's the whole point at this point. The whole point is to dance around in circles, talk about things that don't make any sense, and try to keep the actual image based on things that don't count. Well, that's the way I looked at it. And that's not a bad thing to actually look at it that way. I spent all them years there. Mississippi did not get better. No, it didn't. Still ain't better now. But hey, the benefits I got from it far outweighs the actual time that I spent there. That I can assure you. Think about what happens when you can just stop worrying about all these things that other people are worried about. Think about it. When you could just simply walk in, make a decision, and just leave, go back to your regular life. You don't have to spend time making excuses about deliberately misunderstanding very simplistic processes. I keep saying that these individuals are trying to create the 2053 scenario. Like these are the people who's trying to create the 2053 scenario. They're trying to create the 2053 scenario, actually, where the collective wealth is zero. Also, that way they can keep their position. I understand their position. Their position was never to change. They wanted to control you with the amount of people that they were misleading. You can't control actual men with popularity. You can control underdeveloped men with popularity, but you can't really control actual guys who got their shit together with popularity. Yeah, lead their ass out there. You don't have to cover and do all the things that they do. You don't have to do that. They're still waiting on Ice Cube to actually do things for them. That's what they're waiting on. They're waiting on the image piece to do things for them. This is why they always follow another F boy who quote unquote made it rather than follow a simple and specific process because they don't see themselves as a person who's actually a part of a functional society. They want to uphold individuals about where they're currently at. They want to keep this myth going that you cannot follow a particular process and somehow you end up winning. That's what they actually want to actually have you follow. But this is currently where we at. Again, you can't move forward if you're constantly watching your back from the people that you deliberately put yourself around every day. How are you going to be able to move forward? This is why you have this level of underdeveloped men all practicing the same thing, no matter whether they're 20 or 60. Same level of arrested development around the same things, trying to put this round peg in this square hole. Father your life, with Uncle Stu, what's going on, man? Thanks for coming through. Actually, man, still you can unionize reptiles. You can get them to destroy other reptiles. It's easy to get reptiles to destroy other reptiles. That is very easy. There are so many people I know who don't mess with each other, but they will come together to actually sabotage and destroy any type of things that's productive that's going to collectively leave them behind. Yes, they know how to team up. And you have to understand all this behind the scenes, backbiting and backdealing. What did it do? What did it produce? It didn't produce anything. It produced a couple people who's able to get off the field at the expense and the exact stagnation of the entire group. Well, I mean, truthfully, I know it because in that type of situation, he knows how to operate around those types of people. He doesn't know how to operate around people who is not like that. He doesn't have a place around people who is not like that, which is the reason why he has to hang around bullshit level PhDs. Like he's not around a Gerald Horn PhD. He's not around a Dr. Carr type PhD. He's not around a Dr. Rashad Ritchie like PhD. The PhDs that he's around have to be dudes who's here to carry the current level of culture forward. by actually using the stagnant men as a flotation device. Because at the end of the day, these people are here to make sure things don't work. And this is why I don't even bother with the men or women who are even over there. I'm not trying to flip or turn any of those dudes. Leave their ass out there. Dr. No, David Deacon Little. I'm tired of keeping up with the Joneses, flexing and scamming. Tearing down who looks good, how many women you got, so tired of it, then cry victim. Yeah, you are correct. I mean, once you have your self esteem and you actually can produce in a way that you don't have to show it off every 5 seconds to people, and then you're out of the game. You could just own a place, a modest place, pay it off within a couple of years. Don't be dumb enough there. Just keep this thing going in a circular cycle. Use money to invest appropriately. Don't get caught up in these things that have no long term value, and you're fine. Yeah, but you have to understand it. You have to learn about this term called controlled opposition. You have to understand controlled opposition, which is on what I'm gonna go over Sunday when I start talking about keep it 100 and the Black Manosphere expansion pack of the Bravo Alpha November. How there is an explosion in the Bravo Alpha November markets, but there is not an explosion in productive men coming online. It's kind of like, but this is currently where we are, right? More people are interested in failure, guaranteed failure. I can, like I said on AM1 panel yesterday. No, no, no. These people are trying to fail on purpose. This is not an accident. This is on purpose. Once you start treating them like they're doing it on purpose, everything will make sense. Because there is a specific order, even to disorder. The patterns are all there. This life has already been lived out 1,000 times over. There's no way that these people don't understand that talking about these things online forever doesn't lead to good results. There's no way that they don't know that. I mean, but even for Umar, like his time is over with. Like you could have literally kept running this game forever, but once you start coming out and expecting people to do things that are outside of their actual purview, you can only do that thing a certain amount of times before you actually get caught and people start to call you out for it. Yeah, I mean, but he is playing with his audience mind because progress is pretty easy. You can track it on a graph. But if you majored in Africana studies and you don't put together a nonprofit to help the actual boys that you claim you care about, okay. Yeah, but the whole point is to lead you around in a circle and to continue to keep wasting your time so that way you don't get your money together and your money right. Because as you can see, nobody got any money or sense or even rolling with dudes like this. They only got this position. And this is why I the situation of individuals who are unmarried talking about the relationship piece, it just blows my mind how stupid these people are. I mean, but you would have to be stupid, clearly, to think that you're going to go to unqualified personnel to get advice on something that you dearly need to be qualified in. What's going on, Lamar Flanagan? Don't think I've seen you here before. Yes, that's what he's doing. He's trying to get other people to take care of his responsibilities by trying to socially prepare men to go into these send off missions. So no matter what they create, it is actually destroyed in the previous generation, not given to a fresher woman in the next generation. Like that's how they overall destroy the actual wealth of people by not socializing them to be productive. And even if they are productive, they hand them assets that's not going to be able to produce very well for them. That's what I'm saying, man. Let them go out there and doing that. But it's easy to point out what he's doing and just be like, look, if you got these tall tales about what dudes' responsibility are, then it's your responsibility to actually pre-vet these individuals whenever you start speaking with them. But the only thing you have to do is make the adjustment one time. Or you can stay adjusted to these wrong things all the time. That's all it is. Think about it. Where overall, all right, cool, man. Thanks for coming through. But think about it. Think about where we would be at clearly as a true collective if people just took these truths to be self-evident and made the proper adjustments. Where overall would we be at? Where overall will we be at? You see, nobody ever asked that collective type of question, correct? Nobody ever asked that type of question. The only collective that they're worried about is the collective failure. They don't even worry about the collective potential. They don't worry about the collective good unless they're trying to benefit from it. But the collective is supposed to be an exclusionary thing, not an inclusive process for people who don't actually invest in it. You gotta let these people make those decisions, man, and you gotta let them fail with those decisions. I don't care what they pick and what they choose. I just know I don't want to hear about it regardless of what has happened. And don't hold me to that type of standard because I know if that standard's not working for them, how is it going to be able to work for me? Yep, the opposite direction. It's a lifelong situation and goal. And then you're going to see people on the other direction. The people who still trying to make it through the popularity piece. 50, 60 years old, still trying to make it through the popularity piece. They have to spend their entire lives staying away from legitimate situations where you can get to actual real money very quickly in order to do things through some type of con or hustle. Can't help people like that. Can't chase people like that. Stop chasing them. Stop fellowshipping with them. But do listen to their content so that way you can see what they cover next. There's too many things going on around here to be worried about what these actual personnel think. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They're here trying to matter. They no longer matter within their communities. That's why they're online. That's why they're online trying to matter to other people through abject foolishness. They're not trying to make anything better. They can't afford to. They are heavily invested in a damaged and broken system. They're the they're the people who's invested in it. They're the people who are the COINTELPROs. The government would never dream of taking away your voice to destroy your own people. The government would never take that away from you. People talking about, oh well, the government, all this red pill stuff. I'm like, dude, they're not even concerned about you. Why would they get rid of a place where a bunch of stagnant men can telegraph the fact that they're not going to be a threat to the government? Why on earth would they take that away from you? Why on earth would the government take away your ability to stunt on things that you're never going to be able to engage in? VGS, Web Du Bois, Spurgeon 2. Yeah. This is where these things are. They can't talk about things of substance. That's why it's very easy for them to sidestep substance and keep going on the nonsense. That's all they got. That's all they got. All they got is to market to broken men. That's all they got. Because at the end of the day, David Dick and Little, the problem is that this system is dependent on men who don't understand or know their value and worth taking care of their responsibilities for them. If you give men the ability to produce where other people's opinions don't matter outside of production, the whole society benefits overall. Strongly, Bruce. I'm not sure why you was on the block list, Lee Bruce. I seen that last time I cleaned out the stuff. I don't know why you was on the block list. I don't know what that was about. But that's how it is, man. Like people come over here, they bring their personal stuff over here. Next thing you know, I got like 100 people blocked. Who are these people? I mean, I don't even run into that many trolls right now. But we got all these people on the block list, man. But that's currently where we at. Remember, the people who are complaining are the people who are losing. The people who don't understand what is going on are the people who's trying to stop the progress of everybody else. People have billions of dollars spent on them that they don't even see. They only see the $51 million spent on immigrants to sleep on the goddamn floor. That's the only thing that they see. If that's the only thing that they see, then I think that you're better off not even listening to these personnel. What's wrong with Lorenzo Di Medicini? Like a lot of people are just letting people know that they're obsolete. I think this is a great time. I think this is a great time for individuals who can't really survive being at the bottom or actually being on this counterculture nonsense. I think it's great that they're talking. I think it's great that they're complaining about immigration, even though they've been in this country a hell of a lot longer than these people who just got here. I think it's a great thing. Yeah, but that's the thing. You don't have to worry about any of these things these people are talking about. You don't have to worry about that stuff. All you have to do is produce and not care about their opinions. Because every time they get trapped, they always have to bring it toward how women view them. I've never really understood that about these people. Whenever they get trapped, cornered, is either say some troll based nonsense and make the conversation circular, or insert one of their time tested conversation stoppers. And listen, once you can say that honestly, and you can turn around and be like, look, if you actually had your stuff together, you know you can block all this stuff, these other people from getting this stuff. Did you know that? But they don't participate in the process to even stop this stuff from happening. And then they complain that it's even an option anyway. Yeah, man, that's the Bravo Alpha November fallback position, man. Well, this is how Keisha thinks about me. What about you? Like, oh, okay, all right, man. You know, the conversation's over. Thanks for playing, dude. I have no interest in trying to out Keisha you. Well, the woman's not even there at the conversation. I'm just saying, man, this stuff is a lifelong mission to end these people. What's going on, TJ? Remember, it took 50 years of consistent decisions to end up in the direction that are at now. 1970 to 2020. That's 50 years of consistently doing things wrong so that way we got the result that we got. The things that existed in the 90s cannot possibly exist today. Glorified introvert. What's going on? I don't think I've ever seen you here before either, but what's going on? But that's kind of where we're at. Yeah. And think about not even being around these people or these circumstances or their clubs or the places where they hang out at or their women for the most part. How much that protects you from even bowing down to these individuals. Because as long as you're around them, you're actually socializing to just putting up with whatever they put up with. Once you desocialize yourself from these actual individuals, you're not susceptible to the things that they consistently pull on other people within the environment. Actually, being lame is exactly what they are, not what you are, what they are. They call you lame so that way you can get on their program. But actually, losing in this type of society is actually what is lame. Because they don't want to self reflect on how dumb and stupid that they actually are and how much they do not bring to the table and how much they are actually the people who should be shouted down or ran out of town or ran out of every single circumstance or be forced to produce. I think these people are getting away with murder. I think they're getting away with worse murder because it's not like they don't understand that these things have been done before. But that's currently where we're at, though. They know where they are. They're not stupid. All this stuff is a cry for help. They can no longer survive in the condition that they're in. But don't worry about it. UBI is going to take care of these people, and they're going to be fine. It's not your responsibility to worry about these personnel. They're going to be taken care of, just not by you directly. Trust me. Dude, 10 years from now, the only thing they're going to do is they're going to update the terms of service of you actually using their actual platform for something that's actual productive, and poof, these people are going to be gone. You mean to tell me that you think they're not going to use AI in that format? You think they're not going to use AI to actually analyze the stuff that are coming out of your mouth and just throw you offline? You think that's not going to happen? You think they won't do that? That's currently where we're at, man. This guy went from, I mean, being completely confused, not even on the productivity piece, within 4 years, making a half mil to $750,000 a year, didn't get nobody pregnant, still in his 30s, whole life ahead of him. But this person don't even feel comfortable because he think he got to have the wrong type of individual from the wrong type of environment on his arm. I'm like, bro, if that's the only thing that you're worried about right now, that's a good thing to be worried about. But don't you dare fix this situation by trying to put people within your actual purview that don't belong there. You just got to go somewhere else. You got a social circle, you got to use it. Like, none of this stuff is hard, man. None of it's hard. Let the people who don't understand society continue to keep complaining about it. That's what they're doing. They're telling you how they don't understand how society works. That's a them problem. That's not a you problem. That's a them problem. Yep, because there are going to be more and more people coming through with more and more hustles and cons. That these people are just going to keep lionizing and keep following up and keep not holding these people responsible when they screw over others. All this stuff is a choice at this point. All this stuff is a choice. So with that said, I want to thank you guys for coming through. I've been here just over an hour. Make sure you like the video before you leave. Well, Renaissance man, they can't because people are trying to get something for free. People are trying to get something that they're not worth. People are trying to game their way into a circumstance that they have to be getting over on the other individual. Most people don't want to produce equally, and they don't want to seek equals. They want to seek an overwhelming position over the other person. And this has permeated all parts of this actual culture to the point to where I just laugh when people talk about a community. I see a community of beneficiaries and future beneficiaries. I don't see a future of individuals who want to work toward a common goal. There's just always very few people who are paying the premium, but all these other people are sitting there with their hands out, ready to be the beneficiary of the policy. Like I said, they're not trying to be equally yoked. They're trying to get this traditional woman to settle for a non-traditional man. That's what the issue is here. And that's why all these dudes are complaining online. They're complaining online because they haven't found this traditional woman to settle for a non-traditional circumstance. So now she has to give up all the power and her rights to produce in society so that way they can feel better at being at the bottom. I'm sorry. She has the productivity piece, the burden of that too. And if she's just ahead of you and you complain about her not being there, that just makes you look weak. It's very easy to just separate from these individuals. Most of these people talking about the relationship piece or anything about that is just not to be trusted, man. Not to be trusted, not to be trusted, not to be trusted. You have unmarried people talking about relationships. It's crazy. Unlicensed, no training whatsoever. Trying to lead you to a result that they don't even live. Yeah, yeah. Go out and have a kid. You get free college, free this, free that, free the other, guaranteed access to jobs. It's like, dude, These they're not going back to being traditional barefoot and pregnant ass women, dude. Like, dude, that's a pipe dream. The problem is Renaissance. It's kind of like with the immigrants. They want that protected bottom so that way they don't have to compete. They don't want to hear that other people are actually competing and winning, regardless of how much help that they get. The problem is that they want all of those benefits for them, while no one else get those benefits for themselves. Yep, that's exactly what it is. That's the troll part of it, Bob. Like, that's the troll part of it. When non-successful people get to speak, and they're successful because they're not successful. Period. What is this? I mean, but it gives every con man hope, though. It gives every con man hope that you can sit in a corner behind a green screen and talk about nonsense, and you'll actually be considered productive in society. That's the dream that they're actually selling these actual people. You ain't got to come online to talk about anything productive. You ain't got to come online to talk about anything that's relevant. You ain't even got to teach people anything. The only thing you have to do is come online and be full of a whole bunch of BS, full of graphics and all this kind of other stuff, and that way you'll be making it in society. That's what's being sold here. Can't help what's obvious. So let me get up out of here. I want to thank y'all for coming through. If y'all actually want to debate any topic, feel free to replay my actual live stream. Nobody really does because how can you replay things that are actually true? Apparently, people just want to respond to Umar and all these other things that don't make any sense. But this is where we at. As long as you're being gaslit about the relationship conversation, you're not truly making any progress in life. Because there ain't no way that you have all this time for things to be going forward, but you're focused on people who can't produce anything. No problem. I want to thank you guys for coming through. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. My notifications ain't going out. Obviously, I don't care. I could just still be able to put up quality content that outbeats everybody else within the space. And that is why I am the president of the Black Manosphere. Because I'm the only person who could be able to move us forward consistently, by leaving all this stuff alone, which I have, by getting to the money, which I also have done, and leaving most of these people alone, which is really not even that hard. Hey, Lee Bruce, listen, man. The people who don't want to make progress are already together. They're already together as one group. The people who want to talk about their baby mama issues, bro, they're already together. They're already together. They can't get more on code and together than they already are. That's the great thing about it. The people who don't bring anything talk about coming together. Don't you get it? The people who can't produce on their own want to be part of other people's productive group. It's really not that hard. It's the most easiest thing in the world to see. Listen, man, it's appreciated, but it's not required. What's required is for you to actually take these actual things in and make change in your actual life. The whole point is to get you to act. That's the issue here. So with that said, I want to thank you guys for coming through and make sure y'all have a nice rest of y'all productive week. Later.